Two Poor Bastards contains explicit content and drunken ramblings. Listener discretion is advised. You were listening to Two Poor Bastards, where two friends get drunk, talk whiskey, and their favorite pop culture obsessions. This is Eric.
And this is Kyle.
And this is episode 7. So tonight we're going to be recapping our time at Convergence, which is an experience to be had for sure.
Yes.
We're going to do something different. We're going to talk about a recent movie as opposed to something retro. We're going to go over our review of Ant-Man and Wasp, and then the whiskey of the evening. And maybe I'm saying this right, but this is another gem. So it's from Aberlour.
Abelora is how you say it from the YouTube videos that I had to watch about how to say it.
Okay, and then this is the Abunadh, and I'm butchering it. I know for a fact
something like
something
that.
or other. So it's the cask strength version, and we had talked about this before when we did the 16-year that we'd be really interested to crack into that and see what a higher proof would be for Aberlour. So there's as I've discovered Reddit and learned about things about internet, I've learned about the internet over the last week.
What is the internet?
What is the internet? I've learned about it, and so there's some interesting things about this. We've pre-poured to let it breathe and to settle. Oh, there's some more fireworks. So that we could crack right into this. Kyle's not feeling so well.
Yeah, I do have to say that I've been sick the past few days. So I can't smell and taste as well as I'd like to right now.
I will have to be your smell and taste.
But I figured that if we're doing a cask strength version, the extra,
oomph,
zazz that it brings would be better.
So it's going to probably be a little bit shorter of an episode, I hope, for Kyle's sake, because I don't want to torture. Sick boy over there needs to get back to bed. And the sacrifice, I am so proud of you. The sacrifice to be timely with this podcast is absolutely
for
amazing.
the show. For
the show. You sacrifice a lot of things. So
I wish I could sacrifice myself.
Sacrifice yourself. So get into the your piece on that. And
so I am sure I probably had mentioned this before on the 16-year review, but this guy here, like Eric said, cask strength, so supposedly it comes right out of the barrel and no water is added. It's non-chill filtered or anything. So
what does chill filtered even mean?
They filter out the bad shit.
Okay, whoa.
Or bits. If there's any bits in there.
Ooh, I like the bits though.
So
chewy.
There could be some bits in there.
I'm for that.
This particular one is non-age stated, so we don't know how old the juice is in this bottle, but I mean, supposedly it's aged to what they deem is the right amount, air quotation marks.
So it's probably less than 12 years is what you're saying.
It could be older. It could be really anything. They could have taken some barrels that were 20 years old and added them to some barrels that were 7 years old or something like that. I mean, but they make it in batches, so it's X amount of barrels go into it, and whatever they mix up and become, that's what the proof is. So the particular alcohol content on this guy is 60.8%. So we're looking at 121 point some odd shit.
Yep.
For the proof level.
It's a little less than the Elijah Craig, actually, isn't it?
About 10% or so less for alcohol content.
That's interesting.
Because the Elijah Craig, that was right on the cusp of 70%.
Yeah.
So that was some fierce shit. So thinking about that, that's pretty cool. I mean, 70% of that in your glass is alcohol, and the other 30% is water. When most everything you're gonna have is gonna have way more water content than that.
Yeah, it was definitely an experience, but I liked it. That Elijah Craig is delicious.
It's fiery.
It's fiery, but it's smooth at the same time.
Smooth.
Tight,
The universal approval word for a good whiskey is smooth. You know, I love how I said, like, I don't like when people say that, but now that's like our thing. Ooh, this is smooth. I really like that. Smooth.
Ooh. Because I don't have other adjectives to use to describe this.
It's, when it goes down, I mean, it's just like, it's really soft, velvety and soft, and just slick.
So a little bit more. Obviously, this is from the Aberlour. Aberlour. How that's spelt and how it's pronounced, I do not. It's a cognitive dissonance to me.
Well, you know, this is going to be a problem going forward as we start to review more scotches. They've all got crazy fucking names, and you say them completely different than how they're spelled.
Yes, at least as long as they're not Welsh. Welsh names, I can't forget about it.
So when I was looking up YouTube videos of how to say the name of the distillery on YouTube, I had to find a video that an American made because I couldn't understand what the Scottish person was saying for the Scotch name of this whiskey. I was like, what the fuck?
Holy shit. So again, it's a no age statement sort of situation. Each batch carrying a unique number on its label. Each batch.
This is batch 67, by the way.
Is blended from barrels ranging from 5 to 25 years old.
Okay, so I wasn't too far off on that.
So there you are, yeah. So Abunadh is exclusively aged in Spanish oak Oloroso sherry butts. And then, obviously, it's not chill filtered.
A butt is also a fancy word for a barrel. I think it's of a certain size, though, too. Not like a standard 55-gallon one.
Shit, there you go. I had no idea. The name Abunadh is described as the Scottish Gaelic for the original, though it is possible of a misspelling of Bunadh, meaning the origin.
Again, apologies if we're murdering these words.
Yeah, I'm not even going to pretend like it is. So what's interesting, what it looks like, is that as from 1997 all the way upwards, the proof has actually increased slightly over the years. So first run 59.6. So each year there's a little bit of a variation of the actual proof, and then it's just kind of gotten up to and stayed around 60. Although 2016 was 61.2%. So that's pretty.
So that was one batch for a whole year?
Yeah.
Or no, that can't be right. If it was since 97 and we're on.
Yeah, it's 2016.
Batch 61. Batch 61, not 67.
Yeah, so this was batch. So batch 56 was 61.2.
I don't know. That's all pretty close to each other.
Yeah. I mean, it's a slight variation. It's some strong juice overall at the end of the day. So let's. I'm really curious how you're going to handle this.
Yeah, we'll see. I might get extra coffee.
You might.
I took a smell of it earlier before we started the show here, and I did have a pretty big coughing fit.
So people are probably going to think that this is a show about smoking weed with how much coughing you're going to do.
I'm not. And this is not normally. I do not cough from smelling a high proof whiskey. I'm pretty seasoned when it comes to drinking this and smelling this stuff. So we'll see. Like we said, we've let it breathe a little bit. We got it in the Glencairns again, so it's gonna funnel this goodness straight up into our nose.
Oh yeah. Now with this, I sense a little bit more wood tones in this. A little less sherry tones. I remember when we did the 16 year, that was like an overwhelming shot of wine. Mm-hmm. This is a little bit.
I'm getting like dried apricot right now.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, a little bit of fruit
That's mainly what I'm getting. I mean, I can feel the higher alcohol content, but I'm not, with my stuffed up nose, I'm not really able to pick out much more.
It definitely has a fruity body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can definitely tell. I mean, from what we have heard, the sherry aspect of this one is supposed to stick out a little bit more than the others. And going from the 12 to the 16 definitely had a little bit more than the 12.
For sure.
But let's, since I'm no good here in the smell zone right now, I think we might as well go ahead and take a sip.
Yeah, it's just a sip.
Definitely getting, from what I can tell, a little more of the wood tannin notes in it.
Yes.
It's a little more oaky.
Yeah, the versus the 16-year. This is not nearly as aromatic, and I mean, it's, as you said, dried apricots, but it's not like a punch to the nose.
I'm definitely not getting the fruit punch kind of taste that we did get from the 16-year-old.
And maybe you have a sweet cherry bottle, too. That could also be the scenario.
Well, not with that, because, I mean, it's all blended together. It's not like it's a single barrel.
Well, shit.
Well, shit. I'm getting something. I can't really put my finger on what I'm tasting in this. And I don't know if it's because it's something really different that I'm getting out of it, or I just am sick.
Well, you're definitely impaired, so there is that. But I'm having a harder time describing what I'm tasting. Like, there's definitely the fiery aspect of the proof right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's
so
like,
it's a little hot. I'm getting, I mean, not fruity as so much as the 16-year-old, but there's definitely something there.
I guess like the top.
I would say more like not citrusy fruit, but berry fruit, maybe.
Yeah, so for me, like the first note would be the oak tannin, and then the fruit is like right underneath it. But as you said, it's berry, apricotish, and then it kind of finishes in a caramel.
A little bit of baking spice also, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a little clovish.
I was going to say cloves, cinnamony. Yeah.
So it does have a complex, with this, it has more of a complex flavor profile, and you don't get hit really overtly with one thing or another. It kind of, as you drink it and settle it, different notes pop up, but there's nothing like overwhelming, except that heat hits you good.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised the finish on this isn't longer than what it is, too. It's kind of a short-ish finish on it as well. I'd really like to drink this when I'm not sick, so I can get the full effect.
Don't worry, we will. Oh, we will.
But I'm enjoying it right now. It's killing all the bad stuff in the back of my throat. I should have blasted some of this right when I felt a little tingle in my throat when I was getting sick.
Does it actually do anything, do you think?
Probably not, but it would have enough of it. It'll make you feel better no matter what.
Well, that's very true. Dealing with it the next day might not be as fun.
Got a headache? A little bit of whiskey. Not feeling so good because of a cold? A little bit of whiskey.
Mm-hmm. Your child is teething? A little bit of whiskey.
For you.
Yeah.
Not the child.
Not the child. Although, my grandparents may have used it on me as
I don't think that'd work really well because, like,
what they do is you dab whiskey on your finger, and then you rub it on the gums of the kid, the teething child, which would have been me. And that is what they use to numb, because obviously, like, you drink, your mouth is going numb.
And this is how alcoholics are born.
Yeah. So I was not I was told I didn't consume it, just used it basically as a anesthetic.
'Cause I think that would, like, people, grown-ass people don't like the taste of whiskey. So you're putting it in a kid's mouth. It's like when you're a kid, everything is way more intense.
Well, I mean, if you think about, like, cough syrup, that is alcohol.
I suppose.
Right? Robitussin had that.
Tussin will fix everything.
Yes, it will.
You run out of it, pour a little water in the bottle, shake it up, you got some more.
Do some robo-tripping. Unfortunately, I think they took the component out of it that you could abuse and hallucinate on.
I don't know. I bet even if they did, I'm sure people still try and do it.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like people drink certain desperate people drink trucker urine to get the methamphetamine. Do you remember hearing about that a long time ago?
What?
Yeah. So
this sounds like a completely insane story. Like going to find the pee bottles on the side of the road that the truckers throw out.
So when meth really had a strangle, and maybe it still does, you hear about a lot less.
Someone chime in with meth statistics for us.
Please get us some meth statistics. But I remember that
the way you said that was like, get us some meth statistics.
I don't actually want meth. I'm not interested. I want some numbers.
Give us the numbers. Let's do some number munching here.
Yeah, I love number munching. So it's very enjoyable. I'm not impaired. I'm just surprised it's not as
I hope you're talking about the whiskey and not the trucker urine that you were going to say something about.
Oh, okay. I'll hit back. Sorry, I digress. I'll go back to it. So anyways, part of the things they're talking about, like people that are in the throes of meth addiction, and this is allegedly, is that there was trucker speed, and your body barely passes through your body, and meth addicts would just go on the side of roads and drink trucker urine to get the pass through trucker speed. Because, so before, there's a law now that over the road truck drivers can only be on the road for a certain amount of time before they have a long break. And so the reason why is that truckers would drive 24 hours straight, cause accidents, get into accidents, fall asleep, die behind the wheel. I don't know if you remember, there was a dude went into a diabetic coma while driving a truck, crashed off the 35W on-ramp and into a Home Depot parking lot.
I thought you were going to say, like, this is Macho Man. Oh, he died.
No. So, anyways, drugs are bad. That's the point.
Don't drink truckers' urine.
Don't drink truckers' urine is the most important part. And stick to alcohol if need be. It's plentiful.
And we're going to take a sip here.
Mm-hmm. But I'm surprised with this that it's not as fruit punchy. That 16 year was like, boom. And really I just wanted to drink it all. This is much more of a sipping. Like, I don't have the urge to just down it.
I wonder if we did some pussy shit, like add ice or water to this, that it would get to that point.
I don't know.
I wouldn't do that.
How dare you even suggest such an evil thing? All right, so let's get into middle topics. So I want to talk about Convergence. My first year season pro.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was certainly an event. So you weren't so much. I was mild buzzed the entire time and then dipping into being drunk towards the end of
so it was like the first day I was trying to hold a buzz for the day, but it just wasn't working out. And the second day, so that was Thursday, was the first day. Friday, the second day, I worked hard on it, and I got drunk.
You succeeded in a way that I hadn't seen since last year, at least.
Yeah, I only made 2 days of the 4 days of
So that's the alcohol portion. Thursday maintained a cool level profile. Friday, see, and here's what happened with Friday. What was the key change is we decided to get some extra flasks. So we had 3 flasks on us for all of Friday.
Yep.
And we blasted through quite a bit of booze in a very short period of time.
Yeah, we went through, the two of us we did a bottle and then another one, and we opened up and got into another one for one day. I mean, Thursday we went through a bottle between the two of us, but it didn't affect us really.
Well, because it was over the course of the whole day. We blasted through almost 2.5 bottles in a shorter period of time, I feel.
That was a short period of time to go through quite a bit.
So, anyways, we did it well. You set a goal for yourself. You achieved it. I'm really proud of you for achieving
You
your
know,
goal.
I really did, actually. That's true. So,
Mr. Coffee Boy.
we should probably talk about what was going on there rather than how shitty we got there. Well, at least start with talking about that, and then we could talk about
absolutely.
how shitty we got.
We'll get into the what it's all about. So it is, we've kind of talked about this the 2 previous episodes. We kind of talked about the aspects of what it is and what it's about. So off the top, we start with putting the con and consent. Was that the first panel we did?
I'm not sure if that was the very
or did we do
first?
Death Note first?
Death Note was early. Boy, yeah. It's all just a blur.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. So we did.
So we started out. We'll say that the Death Note panel was the first one that we did. So
surprisingly, not very many people.
No, which surprised me. But then again, so most of Convergence happens in the Hilton Doubletree Hotel, and then next door there's a Sheraton Hotel where they have a few rooms for the panels, mostly the smaller ones that they don't expect many people to go to, I suppose. And then over at the Sheraton, they also have like live performance stuff, like a smaller concert area, and then a commons area where they do comedy. And then all like the dealer stuff, all the people peddling their crap that they're selling there, their space music or what have you.
The Space Jams.
Space Jams. Not to be confused with the movie.
No.
Infinitely more exciting than the space music jams.
Which is really far out.
That were there. So anyways, the Death Note panel was over in the Sheraton, so smaller one. So I guess they didn't expect many people to come, and there weren't that many people in there. And there was maybe about 10 of us in there.
I guess it was like 2 years too late, maybe?
I'm not really sure, but like something as popular as Death Note, I would really expect more people to be there. But then again, last year, one of the panels I went to was for The Expanse, which I thought was a pretty cool show, and they had that in one of the larger panel rooms, and there weren't that many people either. So it was very surprising. I don't know, it's crazy. Some things you think are going to be super popular, there's no one there. Some things you think are kind of dumb and there won't be people there. Shit is filled up and there's people standing. So Death Note panel was interesting. Talked about some stuff. I maybe saw things in a different light than I had before. No pun intended there.
Dun-dun-dun. So, to be honest with you, I hadn't seen that series since it came out, originally in Japan. So, I had a vague recollection of the overall arc and kind of the characters, but I forgot all of the details. So, I was a little bit lost in some of the nuances of whatever, and including yourself, because you contributed to that.
Well, and then they were talking about the Japanese live action films that were made, and then the Netflix special.
I had no idea.
So I did watch the Netflix one because I was fucking morbidly curious about how bad it was, and it was bad. And it's funny that they talked about like how the panelists, the people running it, were talking about how it had like this weird 80s music vibe in it, which is really funny because I had a friend who had submitted a song for it and it made it into the final run, but ultimately ended up not being in the movie.
Oh, sad. And
like that's his thing. He does like 80s inspired, like definitely American Psycho inspired stuff. So it was funny that they had mentioned that. I, on the other hand, I really like Death Note a lot, so I usually go through and watch the anime all the way through about once a year. It's one of the few things that I approve of that has come out anime-wise post-2000.
Yeah, and see, I watched it, I appreciated it, but it's so hard because there's so much stuff coming out. It's hard to sometimes loop back around and revisit certain things. Like there's like Akira, I revisit maybe twice a year.
And I gotta be honest with you, that's a movie I could probably never watch again because I've seen it just so many times. Wow. So many times. Like it's going to be playing in the theater.
Yeah, 30th anniversary.
Yeah, I think it's going to be playing it.
Probably Uptown, maybe?
Roseville, I think.
Really? Yeah, see, I don't know.
Anyways, and it's like, do I go see it in the theater again, even though I've seen it so many times? And I've seen it in the theater before, and it's just like, I don't know. How much is too much?
I know. You know what? If you love it, there's never enough. Too much is never enough.
I love it, but it's a real slow burn. I don't know if I could sit through it.
It's like watching Blade Runner. I love that movie, but it's a fucking slow ass burn. So, anywho's, Death Note panel that was my first. Let's just say it was my first taste because again I don't remember if it was Con and Consent or that panel first. It gave me the taste, which was it. Number one, it's very much an interactive thing. They want people. You know what our first panel was, and we actually left, was Spider-Man: Homecoming.
That's right. We just went in there to kill some time.
And then we went to Death Note.
And then we did that.
So that was in one of the larger rooms, and that was my first experience, which was it's interactive. They're asking about motivations. Like one of the questions I remember was, how do you feel that Aunt May is so young and attractive?
Like in the pants? How do I feel?
Yes. Exactly. So there was some interesting. I find it fascinating what other people find fascinating, like what points that they want to bring up or what's important to them, because obviously it's going to be probably different than mine. Yeah, and maybe some people are seeing the same shit that I'm seeing. Like, and that's what I find so fascinating about those panels is like it's a compare and contrast scenario to something that you mutually love. So does someone read into something differently than you? Do they see a detail that you don't see? Are they irked by something that you like? So, but we got up, we're like, kind of. I mean, Spider-Man: Homecoming didn't like totally give me.
I didn't watch it because I was like, "Fuck this."
Wow, as a nerd, I'm surprised you could say that out loud.
And I love Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I was just like, I'm
Spider-Man fatigued.
Yes, there's too much Spider-Man going on right now.
I never watched the middle. Who was the middle one? The middle actor between the original 97 or. Fuck, I'm forgetting. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man, and then the middle dude, and then I skipped all. I don't
know. There's been 3 now. I thought there was only 2.
There's 3.
I see that. This shows what I know about this. This is how Spider-Man fatigued I am. That I was like fucking a while back.
Well, my biggest problem with Spider-Man ultimately is I think they miss what makes the comics so good and interesting. That, like, I enjoyed the first couple.
I feel like they make Peter Parker more of a bitch than he should be.
Way more of a bitch. And just the villains. The first 2 Sam Raimi ones, I like. They're definitely a certain tone. Mm-hmm. I didn't bother to watch the other dude. I don't even fucking know his name. I know he was in The Social Network. That's all I know. And then I watched Homecoming, which I enjoyed.
Wait, it was that dude?
Yeah. He played the dude that was betrayed by Mark Zuckerberg in The Social Network. He played the co-founder.
Well, whatever. Moving along. Fuck Spider-Man.
Back. Anyways, so we got sort of into that. We got up, we left. We did as much leaving as we did staying in panels, I feel.
Yeah, Thursday was really hit or miss.
Yeah, and then so we did Death Note. We went through that. It was interesting. I liked that it felt comfortable. It was interactive. I felt that anyone that had anything to say, they were free to talk. Like it wasn't one of those weird like somebody's holding the room and kind of bullying their opinion around. Like you had the opportunity to contribute. So I was like, oh, this is really cool.
There are, though, I do have to say, there are definitely some panels where the panelist or like the main one of them will just like fucking buffalo the whole thing and take it over and not let people talk. It's kind
of like putting the con in consent. So what I found so funny about that, so that I think,
oh my god. So yeah, we went to one called putting the consent in con, or putting the con in consent, something like that.
Something along those lines.
And usually that's like the stuff for the really awkward people to go to, and I might be a shitty person for saying this, but I like to go to some of these just to see like if they turn into like a for real shit show. Like one of the years it was like how to talk to people, like talk to the opposite sex or whatever at Convergence. And it was one of the ones that was completely packed. Like, people were standing and sitting in the aisles and stuff like that. And, like...
How do I flirt? What do I do with my hands?
Really socially inept people were asking, like, the most ridiculous questions that were off the wall. And it was unbelievable and entertaining all at the same time. So I'm like, well, these are weird ones. Maybe that'll be the same. But this one was definitely not that. For one, it wasn't full. There was very few people in there.
Right. You had one person who definitely, it was their first panel. So, like, when they were talking, they had their hands in front of their face, in front of the microphone.
Yeah, so just imagine if we were trying to do a show and we just, like, put our hand in front of them. I just, like, literally put my hand in front of the microphone. Imagine if we did that every time we had something to say. It's like, I've got a friend who, when he's eating and he wants to talk to me, he does that. So not only does he try and talk to me with a mouthful of food, but he also puts his hand in front of his mouth. And then I really can't understand what he's fucking saying, and that just drives me up the fucking wall even more.
Jesus. Some fucking people.
Enough of my rant there.
Enough of that shit. You're too
got a lot of problems with people and their eating habits.
God damn it. They just need to stop eating. So.
Or being people.
Yeah, that's fine. They could do that. So there was a diverse range of people, but guess who the most well-spoken showboat, if you will, of the whole fucking panel was? It was a white dude.
It was a handsome ass, like, normal cis white dude.
Yeah, who had the most opinions about everything. To be fair, I think he was a love advice columnist.
Yeah, he has his own show.
Love. I don't know if he's actually. I didn't do any research afterwards.
Might not actually be a doctor, but who knows?
Who knows? He goes by Dr. Nerdlove. He was the most well-spoken and opinionated of the group, which is a little unfortunate, but it's fine. And I didn't get anything. They just talked about terms like affirmative consent, implied consent, and just kind of went over those very basic and, to some socially awkward, semi-gropey people that might be.
For how disappointed I was in it and not being the train wreck that I hoped it for, there was some good information in it. And it, like, when you think of consent, you just think like people banging, but no, there are some other aspects that you didn't think about, like if you want to take photographs with people at the con. So that's something that you might not normally think of. So I thought that at least that was a pretty good takeaway from that one, because I, for one, don't want anybody taking my fucking picture, whether I'm dressed up or not. So that I could appreciate.
Yeah, ask permission, and if they say no, it's a no, and not a yes.
Yeah, don't just go around snapping pictures of people.
Yeah, that's some pervy stuff. So, but we didn't stay through that.
No, we got the fuck out of there because we were tired of that.
Yeah. And again, to me, it's a little disappointing that it's the white dude who had the most to say. Like, he's not a cosplayer. He's not a woman. He's not, so the perspective, I was a little disappointed. Like, shut up, dude. Yes, you're well-spoken, but let some other people talk. And,
you know what? I don't think the person who was sitting like as we were looking at him, the person sitting to the left of him, I don't think that person said anything.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Like there was 3 people that talked.
Yeah,
and there was like 5 people up there.
The moderator, the one who put their hands in front of their face, Dr. Nerdlove, and maybe one other, and there was like 5 or 6 up there total. And anyway, so that one was a little bit of a disappointment. And then were the drums on Thursday too? They did a little
Yeah, there was like a 15-minute taiko drum preview.
Yeah.
That was really awesome. That we waited like 45 minutes for it to start, and then it was just like, well, right in the snap, it was done.
So that was impressive, and it really filled that space, and it was like, yeah, this is really some good stuff. We went through the art room, or no, was it
so there is at Convergence, there is a room where people can sell things that they make, artwork, jewelry, things like that. And I like to peruse it every year because there's always some fantastic, like, crazy erotica in there. And the best part is it's like it's almost the same stuff every year. Like the same person's trying to sell the same, like, cock-ringed horseman.
Yeah, that's
every year.
Oh my god. That, like, I and unfortunately they have a strict no pictures policy, which was a little disappointing. But yeah, the centaur who is anatomically correct with an embroidered cock ring looking very seductive, I found that supremely entertaining.
And I like how some of the pieces had, like, censorship, like, stuff over them, but some it was just like right out there.
Full cock, right there. Full
ringed cock.
Full ringed centaur cock, just out there for you.
They all had cock, like, that person must really like cock rings.
And it's like, is it for adorn? Like, I had questions, and there wasn't anyone there to answer those questions.
Like, non-erect cock rings. Like, I'm not going to think about it too hard. Because I just now thought about that. After seeing this same shit for years.
But there, you know, and the artwork ranged from very rudimentary to being legitimately pretty.
There were some pretty impressive things there. Some of the subject matter might not be up my alley, but I can appreciate the talent that went into it, definitely. There's always something there to see.
Absolutely. So that was fun. I liked seeing that, and, you know, it was kind of like Etsy in real life.
Oh, totally. For sure.
That's exactly what it was. Because there was also, like, trinkets and jewelry and
yeah, I mean, you can get fancy-ass notebooks and stuff there, too.
Yeah, you can get your Death Note notebook right there.
Legit Death Note. Does this work for real? No, not worth $20.
Yeah, this does not get my money. I vote no. God, what else?
Oh, we went to dealing with anxiety.
But was that Friday? That was Friday.
No, was it?
Yeah.
God, I can't even tell.
That was earlier, because on Friday we went in a little bit later, I think, like 3 o'clock-ish.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the first things we hit. I think Friday we went in, and that was like the first thing we hit. And that was it wasn't a train wreck, but to me, so it was dealing with anxiety at Convergence or at conventions. What was that? Do you remember what the title was?
I think it was specifically at Convergence.
So, again, it's a panel of 5 or 6 people. And what it seemed like to me was like a bunch of people who were in therapy, and their therapist said you have to give a presentation in front of a group of people.
Definitely not what I expected of the panelists. I expected the panelists to be some, like, alpha Chad people being like, you need to get out there and, like, put yourself out and deal with this. But it was like people up there telling sad stories, and it was really fucking bumming me out. Yeah,
it was a tough thing to sit through, and people are just like, I'm on medication right now to even get through this. And you're like, whoa, this is getting serious.
It was a bit too heavy for me to handle.
Yeah, I appreciate that anxiety is a legit deal to deal with, and it's a hard, but, like, every single one of those panelists were like, I'm on some sort of medication right now. And they sounded legitimately terrified.
Yeah, and it's like, I deal with anxiety plenty. But, whew.
Yeah, so that was rough. It's more like, it's not rough because I'm a callous asshole. It's because I felt for these people. Like, I felt legitimately like, oh my God, like that's good for you for doing it. It's impressive. Mm-hmm. But I didn't necessarily come here to be part of your support group to, like, my interpretation was it was supposed to be advice to help other people get through these things, not us supporting them getting through their anxiety.
Right. The panel was reversed, and somehow the audience became the panel members,
exactly.
And the panel members became the audience.
So that one was a fairly diverse group of people. So I think that was cool. A whole bunch of different opinions and perspectives. So, but again, it was too heavy. I was not going there to get into some heavy shit. I was going there to be entertained, as shallow as that fucking sounds. So then, after that, we went into an Ash versus the Evil Dead panel.
Which was, I have to say, the most enjoyable panel that we went to while we
I
were
got
there.
fucking riled up in that shit.
Yes, that was a good one.
So, that was the first time that I had participated in a panel.
I like that. I like that you got in there.
Yeah, because I had some opinions, and I got into, I would say, like, a tiff. But definitely, like, me and the moderator did not necessarily see eye to eye in some of the character development of Ash series versus the movie. She said I was romanticizing him, which I got a little pissed.
I wouldn't be mad at that. I'd romanticize Ash.
So, but that was fun, though. It's like, like, kind of called me on my shit. And, it felt totally like a great environment to have that passionate dialogue about something really nerdy.
Right. I almost flipped my shit, too. So when I added my thing at the end, I was like, wait a minute. You're all trashing the back half of the series.
Which I had no qualms with.
But there was a huge change in all the writers and everything, so...
Yeah.
And nobody said anything about that. They were just like, the back half wasn't good.
Oh. Yeah, so...
I'm in the butt.
In the butt.
I'm in the butt.
So, but that was fun. Getting in and talking about, what you loved about the series versus the movies, what you would have liked to see go differently.
I'm really surprised when they asked who liked Army of Darkness more than Evil Dead 2. Usually I find more people like Army of Darkness more. I don't. I like Evil Dead 2 more.
Yeah, I like Evil Dead 2 more.
And most people who were there at the panel did agree.
Yeah.
They like Evil Dead 2 more.
Yeah, I think there is... The people that were there, like...
Immediately, there's probably... People are like, I'm not listening to this anymore. Yeah. He didn't like Army of Darkness best.
I enjoyed our Army of Darkness, but it almost seemed like a movie in an alternate Evil Dead universe where it was more of a comedy and Three Stooges.
I mean, that's really what it was.
Yeah, literally what it was. So I enjoy it for what it was, but I don't. Evil Dead 2 is always in my heart as the best. And like they kept forgetting, like Evil Dead 2 is actually Evil Dead 3. And and that's the fun thing. You got into the weeds with all the specifics of that franchise. Yeah. And that's really what the whole thing was. All the panels, all the things is really digging into the guts.
You get that. And then you get like opinions and other ideas that you may have never even thought of before. So
absolutely.
It totally shines a new light on some aspect of what you're interested in, and that, can reinvigorate your interest in it again.
Absolutely. See it in a different light. We did miss a lot of things. We missed the Blade retrospective. Very sad.
Yes.
I was looking forward to that.
The 20th anniversary of Blade.
Now, was that because it was on a Saturday?
That was because it was Friday night, and we were at Vilification Tennis. It happened at the same time.
So
unfortunately, there's certain events that happen, at Convergence that are later in the night, and some of the more juicier panels also happen at the same time because of the content in them. So it creates, a little problem. It's like, what do you want to see more? Do you want to see this thing or do you want to see this thing?
So to be, you wanted me to experience like the prime, like what it is to be at Convergence. So we went to PowerPoint karaoke, and we went to vilification tennis.
Yes, and then the night before, the first night there, Thursday night, we finished off with the erotic sci-fi reading.
Yes. Oh my God, I forgot about that. So Thursday night, erotic sci-fi reading. I'm surprised that these people don't have their own podcast. It does remind me a bit of the F+. The F+ does a lot of the exact same things, where they dig into the nethers of the internet and do Sanic porn readings or wizard porn or erotic, fiction. So
5 gold for an arcane hand job.
So they started off with minion erotica.
Yeah, which was terrible. So there's, 6 panelists. I don't even know if you can really call them panelists, but 6 people up there doing the reading, and when one of them laughs at the story, they have to switch to the next person to start reading it. And then they have another person, a 7th person, drawing, like, real time what's happening in the story. So that adds another element to it. And from what I remember, usually there's someone there, doing sign language along with it as well, but they didn't have that this year. And sometimes, like with that and with vilification tennis, the people who sign it are often funnier than what's actually going on. And that really adds to the show. But yeah, this year at the erotic reading wasn't quite as good as the years before. I think that the panelists got a little too drunk, and that might have affected it, because they were up there just like everyone was trying to yell over the other person and have something to say while they're trying to tell the story at the same time, too. So they started out with a Minions one that was highly disturbing, and then finished it off with a story like a lesbian centaur story, I believe it was.
Oh, yes.
But the part that was really bothering me about the centaur one is that the person who was drawing in real time what was going on didn't quite know centaur anatomy. And as nerdy as that sound, it was really pissing me off. So it's like horse lower half, human upper half from the waist up. And their horse lower half was just basically human legs with a horse tail, and I was just like screaming in my head the entire time, like, that's not right.
That's not what it looks like. I just saw a picture of that earlier. Ah!
It's like, yeah, go down to the art gallery, peruse the erotic stuff there, and you will know what a centaur looks like.
With a lovely adornment.
Plus cock ring.
Yeah, so that was really funny. I didn't mind that they got so drunk. Like, I thought that was really, like, it's kind of, to a greater degree, what we do. It's kind of an endurance contest sometimes of what we can get through and still be coherent, which we fail many times. So that was fun. It was very adult. It was very fun. There wasn't a huge amount of people there.
I would say it was about 3/4 of the way full and they had it in the main ballroom that the big shows are happening in. So it brought quite a few people in.
Yeah.
Especially for a Thursday night, because Thursdays are usually the slow days at Convergence.
So through the course of the day, we saw a lot of great cosplay. We saw some not so great cosplay. There's a lot of Kim Possibles.
A lot of Kim Possibles there.
Which is really strange. Isn't that
Which
show...
worked out in your favor.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed all of those.
Eric was a fan of the Kim Possible cosplayers. Didn't know what it was until I told him, but he now appreciates it.
Yeah, now I know. I'm like, what are these redheaded women with these midriff shirts
and cargo pants?
Cargo pants. I really
Who wears cargo pants?
I'm really digging this look. Who are these? Yeah, no, it was great.
I'd have to say this is probably the weakest year I've ever seen as far as really good cosplay goes.
Yeah, there were really...
Because there's usually some shit that you're like, oh my god, this is incredible.
How the fuck did it even happen?
But then again, we did miss Saturday because someone got too drunk the night before.
And I got the sense that there was almost a air of like loss and transition because that's the last year it's going to be held there.
This is true.
The alcohol policy. And it wasn't just the alcohol policy that was controversial. There was no food and beverages allowed into like the movie rooms.
That's right. Usually, so at Convergence, they have a room that's strictly dedicated for playing movies. And they play movies for 24 hours. So all day, all night. And in this room, they have popcorn and they have like tables that are usually laid out with all kinds of candy, snacks, all sorts of stuff. Wasn't any of that this year. There's an area by the party rooms called Con Suite where they have food for people who are attending the convention to eat because, we're busy, we're having fun. It's a convenience thing for all the members there. And typically the food items that they have there, you make your own peanut butter and jelly sandwich for one room. They serve rice in another. And then the third room, my favorite one that I love to hit in the middle of the night, is the soup room. But this year, the soup room did not happen. So instead of serving soup, what they did was they had like packets of ramen that people could get, and they just add it to hot water. Which, ramen's cool, don't get me wrong, but that's kind of lame. It's not the same as having like hot soup like ready to go, like you're going to see the soup Nazi. And this year is no soup for you. Come back 1 year because next year we will have soup again.
And it'll be at a different location. It'll be downtown Minneapolis.
Yeah, we'll be at the Hyatt, I believe it is. Hyatt Regency or something.
I'm excited for that because there's an extra level of danger being downtown.
Oh, man, all these nerds thrust into downtown.
I'm excited for that. So I definitely, coming out of it, number one, I enjoyed it. Number two, I want to do it again. Number three, we're going to be a part of it next year.
Yeah, I've been talking with some of my friends about doing panels there, but we definitely like to do a live recording of the show as a panel.
Yeah.
Next year. That'd be fun. You come along, you hang out with us, heckle us, whatever.
Whatever works for you, yeah.
I can take it.
Yeah. So there was some, and then there was, Fifth Element, Mila Jovovich character.
Yes, Lilu.
Yeah. I got a picture, and I asked permission, very kindly, very gently, and her cosplay was spot on.
It was great. Had the multi-pass and everything.
And it was very accurate, let's just say that. It was a very good representation of the character.
But you can cosplay anything you want with any body type you want.
Anything you want to do. If you want, it's all cool. So, and there was Final Fantasy characters there. There was Berserk.
There was a very young Guts there.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. There was, and we didn't catch this, but I caught it on Instagram. It was a Stargate cosplay where they had like the
film, yes, the
film
Stargate
one, and it
film.
had the head, like it was fully articulated.
That's fucking sweet. Yes, I did see that too.
I saw the dude without the full headpiece. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's Stargate. That's cool. And then I saw the picture. I'm like, fuck, I missed that? Because I thought it was pretty incredible, actually. Friday, we got tore up.
Friday, we got tore up, but we got tore up during great events.
Absolutely.
So my very favorite thing that happens at Convergence is vilification tennis. And before vilification tennis, they have another thing called PowerPoint karaoke. And both of them sound nothing like what they actually are. So basically PowerPoint karaoke, a PowerPoint slideshow is prepared, and they have a person come up and they decide whatever topic they're going to talk about, and they have to do it to these PowerPoint slides that they've never seen. So typically hilarity ensues because it goes off the wall. Very entertaining. This year, it was all right. It wasn't the greatest. But then after that, vilification tennis, my favorite thing is they have teams of 2 people up on stage. and these teams of people take turns insulting the other team. And when one of them does an insult deemed worthy enough for a point, the referee will call a point. And whoever I believe gets to 3 points first or just has the best shit wins. And the stuff that they say is... oh, shit. Is both either completely disgusting and off the wall or so nerdy in its reference that it's amazing. And disgusting off the wall while being nerdy as well.
I will definitely say, like, there was at least a couple of times I had no idea what the fuck they were talking about.
There was one point that one of the people made a joke that did go over my head. But usually I'm pretty, with it on the references.
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good about my nerd knowledge and again, I didn't know who Kim Possible was, so there is that aspect. That's a little... The thing is, what I find funny is that you knew who she was, and that's a kid's show, and you could tell me who that was.
Hey, man, I know things.
You know things.
I know a lot of things.
It's adorable. So, yeah, and they do not hold back as far as, like, there was a transgendered person there, and they were basically disparaging themselves to disparage another person.
That happens a lot. Oh, man. It's some really good stuff.
Yeah,
I almost want to try out to be able to do it.
But do you have enough, like, insults in your repertoire to get up there and do it?
I think I could do it.
I feel like I could. To me, I'm a hit or miss. Like
they don't. None of this is like off the cuff, really. I have seen some of these where they've recycled material. So,
right. And I suppose if you prep for it and whatnot, and that's the thing for me is, like, I would definitely have to prep for that, and I couldn't do it off the cuff. There's certain things and
really, there is no topic that is off limits for this stuff, so you can go just as low as you possibly can go.
And that's what makes it great. So, vilification tennis, and then we got incredibly drunk.
Oh, we got so drunk afterwards. See, my favorite part of Convergence, I say it's vilification tennis, but my real favorite part is hanging out in the smoking area outside late at night.
And the funny thing is, neither one of us smoke.
No, we don't. But that's where everyone congregates late at night because there's nothing else going on, really.
And so your friends, they didn't show up this year, but they showed up
one night for Friday night.
For Friday night, only in the smoking area.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Because they didn't have, a pass to get in and do anything else.
So Convergence is controversial because they don't sell day passes.
Right.
It's all or nothing with Convergence. So,
and if you don't get your ticket early, I mean, if you get it really early, it's like $65, $70. It might be more this coming year, but like at the door value pass is $125.
4 days of entertainment isn't terrible, but to put in perspective, Crypticon is coming up. It's same amount of time, and it's like $50. So, got to meet them. That was fun. They showed up in sort of half-ass cosplay.
Usually they do like casual
cosplay
when they're at Convergence, because it's not like a dedicated anime convention. Like, Kaylin usually goes all out for those, like Ohio Con, that kind of thing. She does the big dress up, and people take pictures and all that. But since they were coming for one night, and it was only for a little bit, I mean, I wouldn't bother going all out either. Yeah. So I don't blame them.
So we got to experience them, and then you got emotional.
Oh, man, I got...
You loved a lot of people.
I got really drunk. See, I'm not happy, and I'm actually kind of sad that... I don't get sad either. I'm always just mad.
You're unipolar.
So, one of the people who I work with and a former person I used to work with showed up, and they saw me, quote-unquote, happy. And they were telling people this shit.
Fuck.
And I'm not happy about that.
No.
I can't let anybody know that I am capable of being happy.
Yourself?
Yeah. But my mistake was not that I got drunk. Was that I started accepting drinks from other people, because I know my own limits when I'm drinking whiskey, but when it comes to other people giving me things that I don't normally drink, like beers and whatever else, I don't know. So I think that I think, and I'm going to blame that on me getting way too drunk on Friday night.
It could have been the 2.5 bottles that we went through before that.
No, it couldn't have been.
So yeah,
we were metabolizing that shit at a constant rate.
Indeed. So yeah, there was definitely a lot of. It was fun. Met a lot of people. Got in trouble. Had a lot of alcohol. Just fed. You know what? And bless us, we weren't roofied.
No, we weren't.
We were not roofied. So I feel, like you got really shitty. I cut myself off.
Oh, I did. I wish. Oh man, if I would have just was like, I'm drinking my whiskey and I'm done with it, and I'm gonna be done.
Yeah, and that's not what happened, because it was wine and beer and coffee beer. Like, someone handed you coffee beer at some point in time, and you were like, what's this? And you finished almost the whole damn thing.
I hate coffee, too.
Right, and you're not really a huge fan of beer either.
No, I don't like beer.
So
it's not whiskey.
I know that you were pretty drunk when you were like, oh yeah, sure, I'll drink this. So you got messy.
Yeah, that's where all the fun is, though. Smoking area, where you get to meet all the interesting people and you get to talk and make friends.
Indeed. So we stayed till 5 o'clock in the morning that night.
God damn.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
5 o'clock in the morning. I didn't hit bed after taking care of you till 6 o'clock in the morning is when I actually finally went to bed. So you were really shitty. And we did go back, but you were so shitty that we were in line to do the masquerade thing, right?
So the masquerade is basically the cosplay contest on Saturdays at Convergence. So everyone gets to show off the costumes that they put all their hard work into. So I think if we had been able to make that one, we might have seen some impressive stuff that we didn't see the previous 2 days.
I was definitely seeing some cosplay leading up to that, standing in line, that I was pretty impressed with, and then I saw some people that I used to work with, and that I knew. So I'm like, oh yeah, okay, some fellow nerds. So that was kind of Saturday. It was like
Saturday was a bust. It totally was.
And then you had a day to recover. We went back. I got to see Marina Sirtis, or Deanna Troi from Star Trek Next Generation.
Yes.
And she is a lot smaller in real life than I had ever comprehended. She's itty bitty.
Like most actors.
Yeah. Like
tiny
person. But looks really good. I mean, like, and I'm not going to say like as attractiveness, like she's aged or has done.
I don't know. I missed it. She was like 2 feet away from me.
I think there's just so much shit going on. It's just not necessarily.
I was probably still hungover the second day after, because that was Sunday that we saw her. You saw her.
Yeah, that I saw her. We stayed for the full drum set.
Yes, on Sunday the taiko drum troupe did a full show. It was great.
It was amazing. So they did some traditional drum numbers, and then they did drama interpretations of some like geek theme songs, stuff like that. It kind of got silly. There was definitely one of the people in there that made me really happy. She was,
Wonder Woman instilled wonder.
Yeah, Wonder Woman cosplay doing drum stuff. That got me going. That was pretty impressive. So we did that, and then we skedaddled, actually.
That was it. I mean, there really isn't a whole lot going on Sunday. Sundays usually get your shit together and get out kind of day. So
that was the big to-do. So we ate, took care of some other stuff, and then we went and saw Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yes, we did.
So that's the final piece to our show tonight. So give me your...
So Ant-Man and Wasp, I was completely underwhelmed. Is basically my whole feelings on it.
Really?
It really... The movie as a whole seemed like they were scraping what was left in the bottom of a pan to make a serving of food for someone who showed up for dinner without like letting anyone know they were going to be there. They're like, hey, I showed up, and they're like, hey, we don't really have much, but I'll try and make something for you.
So, specifically how? So you thought it was weakened story?
The story seemed kind of shallow and like it was forced and or rushed to me. Compared to the first Ant-Man movie, it just didn't have the same oomph that it did.
Do you think you feel that way because the first Ant-Man movie was the first kind of entry into that world, so it seemed fresh, and then another outing into that world is not going to be as fresh?
I don't know if it was quite that. Also, it felt like the comedy just was kind of forced too. You know who was the real star of the show? And I don't know his name, but the guy who everybody loved from the first movie too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The dude who shared a spoiler alert, the dude who shared a jail cell with Ant-Man.
Yeah, I'll look that up for you real quick. Yeah, once again, he shined through. Hold on.
And you've got T.I. in the movie. Like, what's T.I. in the movie for?
It's just to say he's got an acting credit to his name. I think they just... So, Michael Pena. Pena.
Yes. The standout star of the movie.
Yeah, I definitely... So, I have a lot of feelings about the movie. So... I didn't mind. I felt like each Marvel movie is kind of a flavor of certain aspects of comic book lore or tone, and they kind of each hone in on, Doctor Strange is the far out there sort of, multidimensional, trippy aspect, and now Thor has become comedic.
They fucking really hit the nail on the head with Ragnarok.
Ragnarok is fucking tight. So each movie kind of captures a particular comic book trope, if you will, and it tries to tell a story within that trope. And Ant-Man is definitely by far the lightest in tone of all the Marvel movies. Like, I think is the most comedic and most PG, I would say, of all of the movies. I liked that Evangeline Lilly had more of a role in it, but there was like Walton Goggins was not used correctly in that movie at all for being the man.
For being Walton Goggins.
That just wasn't he wasn't used appropriately. And you had Ghost and then Lawrence Fishburne's character who played Goliath, I think, in the comic books. There's just too much stuff, and they didn't need all this other. You had the FBI agent, which is kind of fun. I liked the fact that there's sort of that love-hate relationship between Paul Rudd's character and the FBI agent. I love how he's sort of bitter but confused, but then that was interesting to me. But there's just too much. There's Lawrence Fishburne and Ghost aspect. Then you've got Michael Douglas and Evangeline Lilly, and then you've got Paul Rudd, and then you've got him trying to have a company. Then you have him trying to balance his family life, and then you've got the FBI, him being on house arrest.
And then you've got Goggins,
and then you've got Walton Goggins.
There was definitely a lot going on.
It didn't need to be all of that stuff, and I think it suffered a little bit because his crew got a lot less screen time this go around than the first movie. So it suffered because of that their crew dynamic was really T.I. Did he even say any words in that movie?
I was just thinking that when I was talking about it. It was how many speaking lines did he actually have?
Not really.
When it's the fake Russian accent dude was talking all the time.
Yeah. So there is that. And, and then the father stepfather to his daughter, like, had more of a totally switched dynamic. He was like the guy that was chasing after him in the first movie, and now he's like totally in love with him and giving
Always
him
wants
hugs
to give fucking hugs.
Yeah.
Hug machine,
just hugging him up. So it was a little bit strange. It's just too much stuff. And then we get finally to the end. We know that Michelle Pfeiffer is in this movie. She's in it for like 3.5 seconds, it seems like, in that movie. Why? I feel like Lawrence Fishburne, Walton Goggins, and Michelle Pfeiffer are totally wasted in that movie. It's like
very underutilized. There's too much going on to be able to focus on someone.
And I think you could have peeled away 2 of those story elements and made a much tighter movie and been more impactful. Did I enjoy it? Absolutely. I went in. I enjoyed it.
Well, I guess I should say I was entertained. So I'm not that much of a hater. I'm just a little bit of a hater.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's just like, again, it comes down to the fact that I have expectations. Everyone has expectations. And you're trying to build, like, and I do not envy Marvel or Peyton Reed to try and have to weave this shit together. Because you've got to tie in. It's a sequel to a movie that you didn't write initially, because it was Edgar Wright who started the movie. You took over halfway through production and then rushed right into a sequel. Then you have to tie into the larger Marvel universe in some sort of way. So it referenced, and again, spoiler alert, this is not a tie-in to the new Avengers movie. This is a tie-in to Captain America Civil War. So that's where it falls in the timeline. It deals with the aftermath of Civil War. It doesn't deal with, in the main movie, what's happening in Avengers, if you've seen that. So, and again, there's you don't get to spend a lot of time on anything. There's a lot of good nuggets of like ideas of where I wanted to go and what I wanted to see. And I think they did a good job with Ghost. Like, I felt like her character, they sold that really well. That was like the best fleshed out character in the movie that was fresh. And you kind of got to see the arc of why she is who she is and resolution, yada, yada, yada. Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, there's your story right there.
That's it.
The story was that.
And yeah, I thought she was good. The actress that played her, I thought, like, we could have got rid of... In fact, we could have gotten rid of the whole Walton Goggins thing completely out.
Yep.
Just had the FBI as being the foil. And then, and Michael Douglas wasn't as much in it, but I enjoyed, like, Michael Douglas kind of being the curmudgeon, grumpy-ass dude. And I liked that at the end of it, like, you kind of saw him be, like, really passionate, not selfish. Like, the whole movie, in the first movie, he's built up as being this pompous, selfish asshole who's ruined everything in his life, ruined all the relationships in his life, as most people do. And this cat, I swear. Everyone right now, you have to understand what's happening is that my cat is wanting attention and is getting right up in my face right now.
Yeah, you're in the show now, kitty.
You're in the show, cat. Good for you.
You know what my main takeaway from Ant-Man and Wasp was?
What's that?
The post-credit scene.
Holy shit. And how like that two post-credit scenes were so fucked up. Like, they threw me for a damn loop. So you have to stay through the movie, spoiler alert. That's the first post-credit scene ties into Avengers Infinity War and kind of sets up where he's going to be leading into the next Avengers movie. And again, you do all this world building, all of this tension, all of this whole story. The whole point is, number one, him getting off of house arrest, but number two, finding Hope Van Dyne's mom, Michael Douglas's or Hank Pym's wife, because they think she's alive. So the whole movement of this movie is about getting her back. And she comes back, again, 3 seconds, it seems like 3 seconds of the movie.
30 years later.
30 years later.
Not eating anything or drinking anything, yet still alive.
There is a lot
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
That's the part that bothered me the most out of this. Is like just watching it. It's just like, sure, I can suspend my disbelief for some things, but like that, I don't know. Maybe I'm too critical.
But that seems like that's a common problem with any of these. Like,
if I didn't have to eat or drink for 30 years, I would have so much money. Because that's where most of my money goes.
You would be a rich person. You would be incredibly rich.
I would be 100-aire.
Hey, don't sell yourself short. A 200-aire.
1,000-aire.
1,000-aire. Wow. Yeah, you're right. So there is, she's trapped in basically this quantum realm. So how is she sustaining herself? Because water molecules, food molecules, they don't exist.
I suppose they're all too big for her to eat.
So how do you live? That's a very good. Again, you're meant to say she survived. Get the fuck over it. Move on. Let's move on to the next thing.
I know.
But it's a relevant point. I think it is the most scientifically inaccurate of the Marvel movies.
No, let's not even go down that path.
Okay, let's not even. Anyways, let's just say there's some magic that happens.
There's
magic.
a whole can of worms.
It's a whole can of worms. Part of Ant-Man and Wasp is magic. That's how shit happens.
Industrial light and magic.
Yeah, industrial light and magic, for sure. So, yeah, that's one cognitive thing to me. And the whole, microverse thing seemed really underwhelming comparative to the experiences of Doctor Strange and Thor. Those movies were so far out there, so, the multiverse, the shit that you saw with Doctor Strange, you're just like, what the fuck? And to kind of see the multiverse, it kind of seemed like they phoned it in a little bit. It was a little underwhelming. They could have done a lot of things, but then again, it seemed like it was a rushed movie. I think he went straight into production right after the first movie. So I don't know. It's a serviceable movie. I like Paul Rudd. I think he's infinitely enjoyable to watch. There's a lot of really funny moments. When he's on screen, it's really funny. He's doing ridiculous shit as he does, when he's dancing or playing the drums or doing his stupid shit. It's good.
He's doing his thing.
He's doing his Paul Rudd thing.
I'm being a dad.
Yeah,
I'm just being a little dad.
I want to be a good daddy. Again, Walton Goggins, totally underutilized. Really.
Is that because Quentin Tarantino didn't direct the movie?
It must be it. He's not unjustified or some shit.
Imagine if he did a Marvel movie.
Holy shit. Well, he's doing a new Star Trek. Seriously. Quentin Tarantino is in the process right now after...
I feel like that movie's going to have too much talking in it already.
As they do. As any Tarantino movie does. So that's a whole other thing. But yeah, he's attached to do a Star Trek movie to be his last... By the way,
Star Trek movie.
A Star Trek movie.
No, his last Star Trek movie.
No, his last movie. Period.
I don't believe that for a second.
Well, he's always said that apparently that he's only going to do 10 movies, and that would be his 10th movie because he's doing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is a movie about Sharon Tate and Charles Manson, and that's beginning. I think it's in production now.
I want to believe that he's only going to do 10 movies that he does of his own movies.
It's hard to say.
Well, who knows? I can't see him. Whatever. That's not what we're talking about right now.
That's not what we're talking about. So
we're talking about how unimpressed I was with Ant-Man and Wasp.
But you know what? To be fair, you're typically pretty unimpressed, anyways.
That's true.
So I'm,
again, I expect nothing, and I'm still disappointed.
We went and saw Black Panther, and you were very underwhelmed.
Yeah, I was not.
So, to be fair, it takes us a very special kind of out there kind of aspect to get you going.
So Marvel movies that I really enjoyed: Thor Ragnarok, Winter Soldier. Yeah.
Seen them all. Enjoyed two of them.
Yeah, it's like I kind of like the Iron Man ones, but I'm like a big Robert Downey Jr. fan. But then again, it's just like him being too much Robert Downey Jr. at some points. So
yeah, it's hard to say. Whatever. I digress. So I think that's really it's a serviceable movie. Ant-Man and Wasp.
Civil War I like too.
Yeah, Civil War is pretty tight. That's pretty. Yeah, they do. The Russo brothers do a good job. Now you saw Infinity War, right?
Yeah.
So it could have been a wonderful, amazing movie, but the problem is there's too much shit going on. Like that could have been made into a series in reality with as much shit that's going on.
Oh yeah.
To develop all of the. So you only have a certain amount of time to really invest in these characters, and they rely on all the other movies to sell. It is basically Marvel is basically doing television on the big screen because all of these movies all tie into each other, and that's why I'm saying with Peyton Reed having a hard time. Like you have a story that you're going to tell, and then also you've got to tie into this larger world, and it's affected by the world, and you affect it, and there's a whole lot of maneuvering that to me in some ways would seem really constricting. But you know what? Taika Waititi did a fucking... Like, Thor Ragnarok to me is, like, the most standout Marvel movie. Period.
I am totally with you on that.
Like, that movie is...
I keep saying, like, how did it get made?
I don't even because it's such a specific kind of humor that I just don't even... Again, I don't understand how it was made. So we talked about this a little bit. Did you hear about... the Robocop news?
Oh, I definitely heard about it.
Holy
I am on fucking board.
This is like every wish and hope. The only thing that would make it better is if Peter Weller was instantly confirmed to be Robocop again, and then my life would be complete. And then I would be happy. So, obviously what we're talking about is Neil Blomkamp, director of District 9, Elysium, and Chappie, has apparently signed on to do it's a sequel to the first RoboCop movie.
So this will technically be canon RoboCop 2.
Yes. So that is extremely exciting because if you've seen how Neil does violence and how much we like violence
and how violent RoboCop is,
it's extremely exciting. Now, do we need to do... I mean,
the only thing that would get me more excited than this is if Verhoeven was doing it.
Right. There's arguments. Do we need another RoboCop? I say yes.
We don't, but we want it.
But we want it.
We don't need it, but we want it.
If it's done well, and I think... And I made a joke on Twitter. Basically, it's like how long before Neil gets replaced? Because he was attached to do an Alien sequel.
Yes, which that is the one that I wanted to see.
And
that's what I wanted to see and what I wanted in the person I wanted to do it.
And that didn't happen. So maybe he has enough clout, maybe he has enough ability to stay on the project and do it. And just with the type of violence that he does, the messy, gory, wet kind of gore that he does, it's so perfect. I think, again, if you're saying if it's not Verhoeven, I think Neil, and just how he was talking about it too, just saying like the aspects of what he enjoyed about the first movie gets me really excited about him doing the movie because like I feel that he really understands what made the first movie so good and so attractive that we'll see. I'm really excited.
I'm excited too. Here's the thing that I'm really wondering about is the robo suit. Will we go to the original look or will it change? I really fucking hope it's the original one.
Yeah, it's timeless. It's a timeless design. And then Duncan Jones is doing a new comic book movie too, and it takes place in the Dread world, the 2000 AD world. So he's doing, I have to look it up. It's like a Super Soldier or Soldier 2000.
I really just wish they'd make another Dread movie.
Well, they're doing his TV series.
Well, we'll see.
I agree. It's hard to say. So the movie that he's attached to and he's announced is Rogue Trooper. And it takes place in that world where this character discovers that he is a genetically altered super soldier and he's got blue skin. I'm not terribly familiar with this.
I don't know anything about it.
I'm hoping that it turns out to be good. I really like Moon. I liked Mute. I didn't see his other two movies. Source Code and Warcraft. I just was like,
Moon was the only one I saw.
Mute is on Netflix, so you can check that out. It's very much, it has a slightly altered carbon vibe to it in the sense that it takes place in this dystopian future. That's where the similarities end. It's got Alexander Skarsgård in it, so it's pretty decent. I would say it's totally a serviceable movie. It's not one of his best. I think Moon is fuck yes.
Yeah,
that's a great
definitely.
Movie. But that's our show, I think. I don't really have...
I just want to jump back quick
please.
to Robocop. The original writers are on board, if I remember right.
Yes! Okay. That is the the fifth exciting thing about this. The original writers are on board, going off based off an original screenplay that they had written after the first movie that wasn't done. That's super exciting.
Yes.
So there's a lot to be excited about. With
There's all the right ingredients going into this.
And hopefully they don't fuck it up. I mean, they're gonna. But just how much are they going to fuck it up?
Well, you never know. It could be great. It could be one of these movies that I go into, like Dread, where I expect nothing and I come out completely blown away.
Yeah, Dread was a fantastic fucking movie.
I was so salty going into that, too, because I was like, this is the fucking Raid. Just made by someone else.
I mean, it kind of was, but in the best way possible.
Yeah, and then as soon as the movie was over, I just leaned over to my friend. I was like, that movie was fucking awesome.
Let's watch it again. Cool. You have anything else to add, sir?
I do not.
So Sick Boy made it through actually a regular length episode. I am very proud of you. He's probably going to have to take another day to recover from doing this.
I got to go back to work tomorrow. I'm out of sick time.
Oh, shitty. So until next time, this is Eric.
This is Kyle.
And we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.